40 Hot News Talk Radio. You are listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on a very, very wonderful day on sunny Chattanooga, Tennessee. I have been thinking about movies. I've been thinking about movies a lot. The reason why is because they announced the Zoolander 2 is coming out. There's a Zoolander 2 trailer. I know that was a movie that a lot of people liked. It had a pretty large cult following. I never got the point of that movie. It didn't make a ton of sense to me. Like it looked stupid. Like I saw it finally. It was on, I don't know, FX or TNT or one of those stations that shows you movies that you missed the first time, and just a random Monday afternoon, you just have, oh, look, it's Eagle Eye again on FX. So I've seen Eagle Eye. I've seen Eagle Eye probably more times than most of my favorite movies. But the point is, like, that channel, it shows all the movies that you've seen. There's Zoolander's always on, and I never get more than like 5 minutes through that movie. I don't see what the big deal is. It didn't make a ton of money in theaters, but it was a cult classic. People really enjoyed it. So they're making a Zoolander 2 because capitalism and money, and why not? Fine, that's okay. You know, people will vote with their dollars, and if the movie makes money, then the movie makes money. That's none of my business. But my thing is that there's a lot of times Hollywood will just pump out movies, just pump out sequels to stuff. Like, oh, you really liked Grown Ups? Have a Grown Ups 2, even though you didn't ask for Grown Ups 2. Did you really like The Hangover? Here's Hangover 2, even though you didn't ask for The Hangover Part 2. Did you like Home Alone? Here's Home Alone 5, even though you didn't ask for Home Alone 5. Okay, and they do this for everything. They will just wring it dry. Whatever it is that you like, if they make a sequel, if they can keep making sequels and keep making money, they will just squeeze it dry, like just done. And we see with all the superhero movies too, just the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe is always expanding. It just happens, okay? Sequels happen. My thing with sequels is I don't have a problem with sequels. And this is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Clutch with Keon Rose. I have a point that I'm getting to here. It is a sports point. It just started with movies. Let me get to it here. I don't have a problem with movies. I don't have a problem with sequels of movies, so long as the sequels are good. I just like to watch good movies, okay? The problem with a lot of sequels is that there are no more new ideas. They use the same ideas from the first movie, and they can be bad and terrible because they don't try as hard the second time. It just happens. It just happens when you make movies that if you keep using the same ideas over and over and over again, it just gets old, it gets stale. And as a result, you have a lot of really bad sequels, like just terrible sequels. Beverly Hills Cop 2. You know what I mean? Like, nobody needs that. I didn't even know there was a Smokey and the Bandit 3. They're like, really? Why? Why do you need it? It's just unnecessary. Completely unnecessary stuff that nobody asked for. Nobody ever said, I needed Grown Ups 2 or Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. I didn't need 2 of those. All right? I just one was okay. So I was thinking about coaches, because every time you have great coaches, especially in college sports, every time you have great coaches, the struggle is finding the next great coach. Like, the coach that follows the great coach is usually a bad sequel. Can't help it. You know what I mean? Like, if you end up with Urban Meyer, like, the next guy after Urban Meyer would be Will Muschamp. You know what I mean? Like, it's sure you could get lucky and not have hired him, I guess, but it just goes to reason that, like, you have a great head coach. You've got Phil Fulmer. The next guy would be Lane Kiffin. So we're going to talk about those. I have a whole thing on coaches that are bad sequels of the guy that was there before them, and I couldn't help but finding like an interesting piece of audio that we're going to play for that as well. We're going to talk some NASCAR later on with my buddy Sam Blevins. He's a huge NASCAR fan, and he helps me stay informed on what is happening in the Sprint Chase Cup that you can listen to here on Hot News Talk Radio. I, for one, am pretty excited about how the chase is going so far. I have not followed NASCAR this closely, like, in my entire life. Like, it's just not ever happened. So there's that. But I'm excited. It's a pretty great time of year. We've got all of that going on, as well as the NBA season starting to heat up, college hoops, those things. But before I really get into all of that, I'd like to talk to you about the coaches that are bad sequels. Also, later in the show, we're going to have next segment. We're going to have the games that you need to be watching this weekend. You have to be watching it. And we'll talk a little bit of Titans-Jags. Marcus Mariota looked impressive, but the Titans drop another one to the Jaguars, and I would say that season is over. For as bad as that division is, that's done. That's a wrap. Coaches that are bad sequels of the guy that was there first. Let's start with Kentucky, because Kentucky's interesting because Joker Phillips is interesting. Rich Brooks was there in Kentucky. He got them to look good. They went to bowl games. They had winning seasons. And then Joker Phillips came along. Okay? And Rich Brooks took this team to 4 consecutive bowl games. And Joker Phillips just showed up and just he regressed the program into oblivion. I would say this duo of people, if Rich Brooks is Zoolander, he's pretty well liked, right? Joker Phillips is Zoolander too. I don't think it's going to be very good. I don't think it's going to be as good as anybody expects it to be. It's going to probably be bad, and it's going to regress whatever people liked about that movie into oblivion. Because Joker Phillips, to me, took a team that had a lot of talent and somehow turned that into a nightmare for Kentucky fans, the likes of which they are just now recovering from. Like, Kentucky is just now becoming, again, a respectable football program after everything that Joker Phillips did. Move along to the coaches that boy, how do I explain this? Urban Meyer is at Florida, okay? Urban Meyer, he's The Hangover. That's a really cool movie. It's for a comedy, it did a lot of things that you wouldn't expect it to do. And it was hilarious. And Urban Meyer was amazing. The national titles there, having Tim Tebow and Rex Grossman as his quarterbacks, the hard-nosed defenses that those teams played. Florida at its best and most iconic was under Urban Meyer. Sure, there was some things that slipped through the cracks. There was the off the field incidents that all of those players seem to always get into, always something with the police and them. And of course, Aaron Hernandez, who went on to play for the New England Patriots, killed a guy with the Patriots, and looking into his past, probably killed a guy in Florida too. So there's that also. But overall, Urban Meyer at the University of Florida was amazing. Absolutely impressive. Hangover 2 is a terrible movie. It did everything that Hangover 1 did, but not as good. And nobody probably fits that better than Will Muschamp. He was just, everybody in Tennessee hates Will Muschamp. Like, they still hate Will Muschamp, which is incredible to me. Like, the hatred here has not died down, like, even a little bit. Nobody likes Will Muschamp. And part of that is that he just kind of ran his mouth and said a lot of things about Tennessee that maybe he shouldn't have said, got everybody fired up, and then, he didn't do a whole lot of winning. Like, when you do a lot of talking and not a whole lot of winning, that tends to stick with people, and that tends to stick with you. You can't make that go away. He never found an offensive coordinator who could help him out, even though he was very good at coaching defense. Never found a quarterback who could really run the offense very well. That probably ties into, obviously, his offensive coordinator problems. And lo and behold, you have Will Muschamp as The Hangover 2, as a terrible movie, a terrible sequel following a pretty good movie. Urban Meyer. I think that's a pretty fair comparison. The University of Tennessee, and I'm going to offend all of y'all because you have some interesting ones, because the early 2000s for the University of Tennessee in football, not pretty what happened there. Like, everything that has happened after Philip Fulmer has not been good and Butch Jones. We're giving him a chance. We're hoping he can turn things around here. He started to. Certainly, we've moved in a positive direction after these two chuckleheads that I'm about to name here. Home Alone is the only example here because I have two. Tennessee has two bad sequels. Okay? You got Philip Fulmer. Say that Philip Fulmer is just, let's just give him Home Alone 1 and 2, right? Because those movies are pretty fun movies, family movies, friendly movies, and they're funny. And then, you still get to have angry Joe Pesci. So, like, what could you possibly want more than that? And we ended up with Home Alone 3, which is a disturbingly bad movie about a kid in a house while he's sick and his mom's out at work. And then Home Alone 4, which is the dreadful recasting of Kevin McAllister as some other kid. Okay? Just some other kid. We don't care. The point is, Home Alone 3 and 4 are Lane Kiffin and Derek Dooley. And I think that these are men that do not need any introduction. Lane Kiffin is the guy that didn't do too badly but wouldn't shut up. And Derek Dooley is the guy that did very badly. He just did very badly. He just wasn't good. He wasted a lot of talent. And the University of Tennessee, he probably set it back years and years and years, just all by himself, all on his lonesome. Lane Kiffin, 7-6 record, like his 1 year that he was at Tennessee, he wasn't bad. They beat number 1 Alabama. I mean, good things kind of happened on the field for Lane Kiffin. The problem with Lane Kiffin was literally everything off the field. Lane Kiffin accused Urban Meyer of cheating, which of course is against the NCAA rules, so he got fined by the SEC, only to find out later that he was wrong about accusing Urban Meyer of cheating. Urban Meyer, in fact, did not cheat. And then there was a player that he was recruiting that went to South Carolina instead of Tennessee, and he told that young man that went to South Carolina instead, that if he went to South Carolina, that he would be in plumbing for the rest of his life, that he would not be anything more than a plumber for the rest of his life. This grown man, Lane Kiffin, said to the young man that he was trying to recruit. So that young man went to South Carolina because why? Why not? Like Lane Kiffin and his words of authority, they mean nothing. Okay. And then after he got run out of town for being an idiot that made the program look bad, ran with his tail between his legs out to USC, Southern California, where he did terribly there, and then somehow parlayed that into a job with the Oakland Raiders, where he also did terribly. Lane Kiffin is the rare guy that falls up from every job that he has ever been a part of. Like every job that he has ever had, he somehow manages to fall upwards. And by upwards, I really just mean he gets more attention and he gets more money in the next place that he lands. He's in Tennessee, gets run out of Tennessee. He's in USC with the USC Trojans, where he makes more money and has more attention. He does terribly with the USC Trojans, whereupon he finds himself in the NFL coaching an NFL team where he makes more money and has more attention. How does this happen? And why can't that be my life? I don't understand. Lane Kiffin doesn't make any sense to me. And the only thing worse than Lane Kiffin is Derek Dooley, who did nothing. Had a nice run of 15-21. That was his record. And Tennessee didn't have back-to-back losing seasons until him. 1993 was the last time Tennessee had back-to-back losing seasons prior to him showing up, and he managed to use all of his magic to make that happen. And I do mean magic. Because in 2012, that team was pretty amazing. There was a lot of talent on that team, and to lose those games, that was to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, man. Tyler Bray was on that team. Justin Hunter, Cordarrelle Patterson, that was a talented Tennessee team, and Derek Dooley just wasted it all. He just completely wasted all the talent. Whatever talent was there, that was there. You know what I mean? Come on, man. He's Home Alone 4. Just the throwaway movie after an already throwaway movie. That people tried to forget about Derek Dooley, and I feel bad that I brought him back up and inflicted him on the minds of every Volunteer fan under the sound of my voice. I'm sorry, but Come on. Like, there's no way you can make a bad coaching sequel list without Derek Dooley. Like, you have to have him on there. Really, he should have been first to number one, except I wanted to go at Mr. Judd a little bit because the next one involves his Arkansas Razorbacks and a wonderful quote from John L. Smith, who is our other coaching nightmare. And I want to play that clip for you because I forgot all about it, / maybe I didn't hear it the first time, but man, crazy things happen in SEC football. I'll tell you that. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose. We'll be talking more about coaches, the Titans, and NASCAR next.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Celebrate the holidays with cheer and basement bargain prices at One Stop Package in the Sunrise Market Center, Sunny Daisy. The brand new One Stop Package beverage store on Old Dayton Pike, just north of the Thrasher Light, with the best prices in town. Enjoy the lowest prices on beer, wine, liquor, and soft drinks. Hey, mention you heard this ad on Hot News Talk Radio and get 5% off your purchase. That's right. Mention you heard this on the radio and you'll get 5% off. The brand new One Stop Package beverage store in Sunny Daisy. Their prices are always the lowest prices in town. The lowest prices you'll find in the finest of adult beverages. The brand new One Stop Package in South Sunny Daisy at the Sunrise Market, featuring great prices on gas, bread, and milk. The Sunrise Market just across from Charlie's in Sunny Daisy. And remember, always drink responsibly.
I love my Flex loan from Advance Financial. I needed cash, I needed it fast, and I didn't want to get a payday loan. My Flex loan from Advance Financial is not a payday loan. It's a line of credit. I only pay for the cash I need, and I only pay for the time that I need it. There's no lump sum payment. My Advance Financial Flex loan is an open line of credit, and I can get cash anytime I need it.
Visit one of our 24/7 locations and get the cash you need today. Advance Financial. Welcome.
Tired of insurance companies? Tired of doctors that won't spend time with you? Do something different. Leave the sick care model of medicine and come to Dr. Danielle Mitchell, the Chattanooga Sports Institute and Center for Health, where we're interested in long-term health solutions, not the quick fixes. Come see me, Dr. Danielle Mitchell, at the Chattanooga Sports Institute and Center for Health. I'm all about the long-term healthcare solutions and doing what's best. On the web, you can find me at ChattanoogaSportsInstitute.com. That's ChattanoogaSportsInstitute.com. Or call us at 875-1005, 875-1005, or find us on social media, Facebook, Dr. Danielle Mitchell, or the ChattanoogaSportsInstitute.com. Let's go, ya!
This is America Now with Meghan McCain.
President Obama makes Jimmy Carter look like Napoleon Bonaparte. We have a president that leads from behind, and when America doesn't lead, bad things happen.
Meghan McCain, weekdays at 7 p.m.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Costa, host of the Costa Report, every Sunday at 9 a.m. My guest this week is former Congressman from Ohio, Dennis Kucinich, who says a Department of Defense is not enough. The United States needs a Department of Peace, which is committed to avoiding wars. Is Kucinich onto something? Find out this Sunday at 9 a.m. on the Costa Report, right here on AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
Looking good out there through the afternoon. Lots of sunshine, a little breezy, highs 58 to 60. Tonight, lows 38 to 40. For Saturday, mostly sunny, still looking pretty good. Highs of around 60. Could see a quick passing shower early Saturday night, turning breezy much colder on Sunday. Highs dropping into the 40s. Check out JCPenney. Right now, find great deals at JCPenney's Friends and Family Sale. Download their app for coupons and to sign up for JCPenney Rewards. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Coaching sequels. If one coach was good, who was Who's their terrible sequel? Who is somebody that followed them? So far, we've matched Will Muschamp to Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer is the good coach. Will Muschamp is the crappy sequel. Rich Brooks was the good coach. Joker Phillips for Kentucky was the crappy sequel. And Philip Fulmer, he coached a long time. He's good enough to have 2 movies. He's Home Alone 1 and 2. And Lane Kiffin and Derek Dooley are Home Alone 3 and 4, the 2 crappy sequels. That's why we're at where we're at with Tennessee, because you had back-to-back bad movies, and then you're hoping that Butch Jones is passable. I don't know if there's a Home Alone 5, but let's not, I don't want to be that accurate. That was not the plan. Admittedly, it was not the plan. I'm just saying, Derek Dooley, like, you could do a show on Derek Dooley himself and just all of how not good of a coach he was and how not fitting to be a coach he was. And boy, like, just the waste of talent with him is unseen, like, just unheard of levels of waste. And probably the only reason why number 1 on our list is Bobby Petrino is the really, really good movie, and John L. Smith is the crappy sequel for Arkansas, the Razorbacks. And I know that Mr. Judd probably remembers this, but I was trying to find controversial movies that were controversial and then also had a terrible sequel. And the only thing I could really think of was Ted, which was controversial when it came out, and Ted 2 was also controversial. I don't know if John L. Smith was controversial so much as he was just awful, but Bobby Petrino was controversial because, of course, Bobby Petrino was actually a very good coach for Arkansas, record of 21-5, and then some things happened. Let's go down the list of things that happened. Allegedly, Bobby Petrino had an extramarital affair. Allegedly, Bobby Petrino hired the woman that he was having an extramarital affair with onto the athletic department. And then also, allegedly, Bobby Petrino wrecked his motorcycle with the woman that he hired to his department and was having an extramarital affair with. All of these things led to his resignation because, of course, they did. Like, why would they not? That's a rap sheet. There, you could you could be locked up for a very long time for these things that he just did. Not literally locked up. They weren't actual crimes. It's just like, wow, the judgment there is so poor that I don't know if anybody shows poorer judgment than what he did there. Like, that's really bad judgment. We don't have to break all of that down, but again, we've talked about this multiple times. When you're a leader, you can't have big moments of bad judgment like that, much less 3 related moments of bad judgment. At that point, that's just a pattern. You're good at coaching football and you're not great at a whole lot else. That's all I'm saying. John L. Smith follows, they call him back. He's an assistant coach. They call him back the coach. And John L. Smith proceeds to be John L. Smith used all of the talent that Bobby Petrino had. It was the same team. It was the same team that he had, and they just weren't good. They were so bad and so dreadful. And maybe Mr. Judd, if he's listening, could call me in here and fill me in on what's happening with that. But like, John L. Smith was so bad, and he had one press conference where he was just completely combative with the media, which happens because you see it happen all the time with Nick Saban. Nick Saban is a very grumpy man and sometimes could be very scary when he's angry. And so, okay, like, there's a scariness factor here. I get it. But John L. Smith took it to a whole other level because his scariness was not about anything in particular. Like, I don't know what point he was trying to make here with the media, but let's just take a listen to John L. Smith demanding the media.
You guys act like it's... Pick it up a little bit. Okay? Get your chin up. Smile. Smile. Okay? Dang, you guys, all right? If not, I'm not talking. Let's get rolling. Okay. Rutgers coming to town this week.
No, stop it. You don't get to just... Wait a minute. Did he just roll right into Rutgers coming into town this week after telling the media that he would not answer any questions if they did not smile? You can't do that. That's not how this works at all. That, to me, that's never going to get old. After demanding that the media smile, and I mean aggressively, you look it up on YouTube, like John L. Smith demands that you smile. I've never seen a person look so angry over that. He insisted that they smile, and then once he did that, he just rolled into, well, Rutgers is coming into town next week. You can't do that. That is what it looks like to be a crazy person. That's what that looks like.
You guys act like it's... Pick it up a little bit. Okay? Get your chin up. Smile. Smile. Okay? Dang, you guys, all right? If not, I'm not talking. Let's get rolling. Okay. Rutgers coming to town this week.
No, you don't get to do that. You don't get to go from that monstrous tirade and roll into, well, we had Rutgers coming into town next. That's why John L. Smith is my number one terrible coaching sequel, because not just on the field, but off the field left such a lasting memory. That to me, that's the top. That's the top right there. I can't remember anything terrible that Derek Dooley said because he was so busy being terrible at being a coach that I couldn't remember anything that he said. But this right here, boy, that is another level. He has reached another level. You cannot demand that people smile or you're not answering any questions. You sound like a different kind of crazy. I think that's funny. So we're this is AM 1240, Clutch with Keon Rose on Hot News Talk Radio. And the Titans played the Jaguars last night, and I'm very impressed with the Titans. I am. Like, the way that they lost that game last night, and honestly, of all the Thursday night games that I've seen this season, this one was not that bad, but I don't know if it's not that bad because, I mean, the Jags and the Titans haven't been putting out great football performances all season, but this one was pretty okay. It was an okay game. They're usually terrible, so I'll take this one. And the game came down to the last second. Marcus Mariota took a sack as he was rolling out of the pocket. He kind of stumbled, and then he got caught from behind, and that's just how the game ended. He had an opportunity to throw a pass to the end zone. What I liked about the game and what I liked about what I saw from the Titans was how relentless the front side of that defense is. The linebackers and defensive linemen, very, very pursuit heavy. They're very good at chasing down the opposing quarterback. They never let Blake Bortles rest. And honestly, the Jags defense did a lot to help them win that game too. So it was two-sided. And one thing I didn't really like from that game is Tennessee doesn't really have receivers. It's bad. Marcus Mariota's making some great passes out there, but like, boy, the Tennessee receivers, those Titans receivers, they're not very good. Not consistent. So there's an upside downside thing there with them, and I really liked the way that they looked. The NFL also they're pushing their color rush uniforms, so they have those uniforms, and I'll tell you what, they're not very good looking uniforms. They're weird to me. Actually the Jaguars uniform, despite being odd in that it was pretty much gold from top to bottom with black sleeves, making them look like some kind of Greek bronze statues, those uniforms actually seem like an improvement on their actual uniforms. I'll take what the Jaguars had. Maybe give them black pants or something. I don't know. I'll take what the Jaguars had as an upgrade, but the Titans, first off, their color rush uniform didn't look all that different from what they already wear. So I'm not sure what they were going for with that. I was hoping they'd go with the darker blue. But that's fine if really what you want was a bunch of football players looking like the Blue Man Group, then that's where you go to watch that, the Titans in their color rush uniforms. But I thought the game was a pretty solid game for a night when the game is actually usually pretty bad. So Titans drop another one. They fall to 2-8. I would say that their season is basically finished here, like mathematically finished now, not just in theory. It is actually finished because they're too far behind the top of the division to win it, and you can't get a wild card from 2-8. To win out now to finish the rest of the season would put you at 8-8. It's not helpful at all. And last night while I was on Twitter, I was tweeting about the game and the thing that was happening, because at the end, as that game was ending, the Golden State Warriors and the Los Angeles Clippers were starting, and the Warriors and the Clippers, the Warriors were down 19 to the Clippers. They end up coming back and winning that game. There is not a deficit that is too big for the Warriors to come back from. And I think that if you're a fan of basketball, you got to find a way to watch the Golden State Warriors. I don't care how you do it. Go to a sports bar, stream it online. You got to find a way to watch the Golden State Warriors, because what we're watching is historic. We're watching the NBA change before our eyes to become something else. We're watching Steph Curry be possibly one of the most skilled, if not the most skilled player in the history of the league. The way that he's playing right now, he's shooting at a high rate. He shoots from everywhere. He's got crazy handles. He can get out of any situation. You can't double team him, really. Like, Steph Curry is insane. And we're not watching the Warriors. Like, the Warriors right now are appointment TV. If there's basketball on and the Warriors are playing anyone, I will sit down and watch it. I'll watch it. Basketball really doesn't matter right now. Not in the NBA, at least. The season's so long. But what the Warriors are doing, it's so incredible. It's so beautiful the way they space the ball and they pass and they move very well. That nobody else in the league looks quite like that. The Spurs are close, and that's about it. Maybe the Celtics also. But like what the Warriors are doing, and then to have the talent and the depth to execute it, they're still undefeated. They came back from down 19. No lead is safe against that team, and it's amazing to watch. I can't believe that it's on. Like, you just got to find a way to watch it. I don't care how you watch it. Watch it through your neighbor's window. I don't care. Watch the Golden State Warriors play basketball. If not, you're missing a fantastic treat. This is AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio Clutch with Keon Rose. Coming up in a little bit, we've got Sam to help us talk about NASCAR on Friday, as we've been doing lately, as we come up to the end of the Sprint Cup Series. And also some games that you need to be watching this weekend. I'll give you a few here right now, and we can get to some more after we talk to Sam a little bit. But here's the thing. Tennessee plays Missouri, and Mr. Judd has picked Missouri. I think that this is a good game to watch. Not only because it's one of the good games in the SEC this weekend in a league right now where there's not a whole lot of good games, which I'm always on the side of the fan. I'm always on the side of fans. I think fans deserve to see good sports. If that's what it is that you're paying to see or sitting down to watch advertisers to see, then it should be good and of some relatively high quality. Instead, you've got Alabama and Georgia ducking and playing FCS schools. They're playing lower level schools, and Nick Saban can talk about how, every time you go out to play, you've got to take the opponent seriously. We've lost to this kind of opponent before. Power 5 schools have only lost to this kind of opponent 15 times out of 310. So no, I'm not going to take that as a response, Mr. Saban. That doesn't make any sense. 95.2% of the time, schools of your size against schools of that size win. It's bad football. Stop making us watch it. Play somebody, please. So Tennessee and Missouri, one of the few games in the SEC that's actually possibly a game. Now, Tennessee is a 7.5 point favorite. I picked Tennessee because they are at least 7.5 points better than Missouri. And Missouri's just not a good football team right now, but they are in the same conference. So at least you're getting two teams, in theory, on the same level, playing one another. And another game, obviously, to watch this weekend is LSU and Ole Miss. I want to see how much Leonard Fournette is able to turn around his Heisman hopes here because he hasn't played as well in the last few weeks. I think he's still all messed up from that Alabama game. They got in his head, man. They stopped him with power. They didn't trick him. They didn't bring extra people in the box. They just out-muscled him. And Leonard Fournette has not been the same since the second half of that game. Up next, we're going to be talking NASCAR, Sprint Chase Cup, which you can listen to here on AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Celebrate the holidays with cheer and basement bargain prices and one-stop package in the Sunrise Market Center Sunny Daisy, the brand new one-stop package beverage store on Old Dayton Pike, just north of the Thrasher Light, with the best prices in town. Enjoy the lowest prices on beer, wine, liquor, and soft drinks. Hey, mention you heard this ad on Hot News Talk Radio and get 5% off your purchase. That's right. Mention you heard this on the radio and you'll get 5% off. The brand new one-stop package beverage store in Sunny Daisy. Their prices are always the lowest prices in town. The lowest prices you'll find in the finest of adult beverages. The brand new one-stop package in South Sunny Daisy at the Sunrise Market, featuring great prices on gas, bread, and milk. The Sunrise Market just across from Charlie's in Sunny Daisy. And remember, always drink responsibly.
Are you tired of feeling like just another account number to your financial advisor? Try something refreshingly different. Call Edward Jones Financial Advisor Patrick Neal in Hickson at 870-7894. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Social media, we're on that. Hot News Talk Radio on Facebook, at Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter. Download the TuneIn app and follow us anywhere at any time. AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio Clutch with Keon Rose. I am Keon Rose, and joining me on the phone is my buddy Sam. He's a huge NASCAR fan, and he has come to inform us as to how the Sprint Cup Series is going. You can listen to that every Sunday here on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio right before the NFL game. Sam, how's it going, my friend?
It is going great, Keon. It's good to talk to you on this Friday afternoon, man. It is such a nice day outside. It's good to be on with you.
Yeah, we had terrible weather earlier this week, but man, it's gotten better.
Yeah. It's a nice. I think it's going to be a good weekend. I think it's going to be a good weekend for racing, especially.
Okay.
I think really that's all that matters. So,
can you tell us a little bit about what happened last week and what your opinions were on that?
Well, last week was an interesting week in the chase. You saw Kevin Harvick actually moved up into number one in the standings going into this week. And what you have after last week, you now have 4 people tied.
Yeah, it's getting pretty crazy.
Lead in the chase standings. So it's going to be an interesting week this week versus what we saw last week as far as who can possibly pull it off.
Well, funny that you say that, it being an interesting week, but like where are we headed to next week? And can you tell us a little bit about who you expect to try and pull ahead here as everybody looks pretty much neck and neck?
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the standings right now, actually, and you got Harvick leading, Gordon's behind him, Kyle Busch is behind Gordon, Busch is coming in at number 3, and number 4 you got Martin Truex Jr. Something in me tells me that I think Kyle Busch could possibly pull out and win. I don't want that to happen because, I'm not a Kyle Busch fan.
We know you don't like him.
If it happens, it's going to happen. I still want to see Gordon try to pull out just because it's his last race. And, it would, and ironically, if he won the championship this year, it would actually come 20 years almost to the exact date of him winning, I think, his first championship.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not. It'd be nice, but I guess we'll just have to watch Sunday and see.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about the track? I don't know how much research you were able to find up on the track conditions or anything like that.
Well, what I like to call Homestead. Homestead is one of the more normal tracks, as I like to call it. It's 1.5 miles long. It's a straight oval. It's kind of like Atlanta and Charlotte. Charlotte and Atlanta are also what I classify as a more normal track. There's no weird length, or they're all 1.5 miles long. They're not super long like Daytona or Indianapolis, but so it's pretty normal track, and it's a pretty easy track to learn, I think. Homestead is.
Do you think that anybody's got an advantage here over anyone else? I know you expect possibly Kyle Busch maybe to be the guy to pull away, but
Kyle Busch is just a good driver, period. I'll put it that way. He knows what to do. He knows when to go high. He knows when to go low. I think Gordon may have a little bit more of an advantage over Busch in the sense of he's been doing this longer. He's run at this track, I think, longer than Busch has. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he has. So I don't know, but we'll have to see.
We'll have to see. It's a hard sport to just gauge with the eye test a lot of times, but
oh yeah, most definitely, yeah.
I see because they did have today when some of the cars were out there running, they did have a stoppage, and I don't know exactly what that was for, but when it comes to track conditions, how do you know when you see a good NASCAR day? Like what looks like a good NASCAR day to you?
Well, you don't want rain. I can tell you that much. You don't want it to rain. You want basically clear, sunny skies. A lot like today. You don't want it to be super hot either, because when it's super hot, the drivers it's hard for them because it's so hot outside. It's hotter in that car. You gotta think of it that way. So really, I guess the day more like today, clear, sunny, kind of cool. Also, when it gets hot, I think the tires they tend to mold to the track, sort of, maybe, because the rubber gets heated up more.
That is, I believe that's the case, that the cars aren't as loose on the track on a day that's too hot.
Yeah, so you really want a day like this if you want to go racing, a good day like this for racing, versus a middle of the summer day where it's 102 degrees and probably 112 degrees inside that race car, too.
I want to talk about Tony Stewart for a little bit, just because he's come out and said that he's not done racing, and he expects next season to be a very good season for him. But from what we've seen out of him, he doesn't look like the Tony Stewart when he was dominant. Do you think?
Well, I think Tony has taken a real blow to his mental capacity, I guess you could say, ever since last year when he accidentally hit that sprint car driver up in Kentucky or somewhere, Virginia, I believe it was, at the dirt track. Tony, he's going to have to, if he wants to come back next season, I think Tony Stewart's going to have to rebuild his ego, in a sense, because the ego, you need ego in NASCAR. You need ego to get by in NASCAR, I think.
You do, but like he looks like, and we're talking NASCAR with Sam Blevins, my buddy here, who is a huge NASCAR fan and explains the sport to me, and conversely to you. We're talking like the thing with guys as they get older and their ability to play, they just don't know when to quit. They just don't have that quit in them. You see it a lot with guys like Kobe or Peyton Manning, where they're not able to play anymore, but they're still telling themselves, like, I can do this. Is that hard to watch, and does that do anything to a guy's legacy?
Did you say that? I didn't hear you. Can you say that again?
Yeah, I was. My question was, when a guy he looks bad because he's old, basically, and he doesn't have the capacity that he used to have. Is that bad for his legacy if he just keeps trying to fight through it?
Oh, yeah, because what it will do is if he's bad, but he doesn't think of himself as bad, he's going to keep going, and he's not going to think anything about it. He's going to think, oh, I'm doing just fine, when in terms he's really not. So that could really hurt him. I mean, it could. It really could.
And like with another thing that I wonder about is Kevin Harvick, because I see him win a lot on these tracks that are odd and oddly shaped, and then when I see him on tracks that are more normal tracks, he does all right. But how good are his chances this weekend? Because now he's at the top.
I think, well, he is at the top of the leaderboard in the point standings. I think he'll have a pretty good chance. Like I say, I mean, you're really going to have to watch this weekend. It's going to be a four-way battle, which I don't think, but, you know, I don't think it's been a battle this close since maybe 2010. I don't think we've seen, and plus, you know, what's interesting is we also haven't seen a driver win back-to-back championships since 2010, which is when Jimmy Johnson won 09 and 10, 2010 straight in a row like that. But I think Kevin's got a good shot. He's a good driver. He knows how to handle the car. He knows how to deal with tricky situations. That's something also you need to, as a driver, you need to get experience with. You need to learn how to handle yourself in those tricky situations.
I don't know how much you know about the situation with Joe Gibbs Racing and the NASCAR commissioner. Joe Gibbs went to go talk to the NASCAR commissioner, and he came back, and he's basically not talking about their meeting. Like, whatever it is that they talked about, nobody knows. And like, what could they possibly have talked about? Like, do you know it all? Do you have any idea or a guess?
That is something I haven't really gotten into. I know it said it says on FoxSports.com, Joe Gibbs has had a tight-lipped meeting with NASCAR Chairman Brian France. Joe Gibbs, however, it says he did not shed many details, and I believe it was on Matt Kenseth, the meetings Matt Kenseth had with Brian France. They're going to put Kenseth back in the car, and if I could guess, though, it would possibly be with the incident, and I believe it was with the incident that happened with Joey Logano at Martinsville, and Kenseth intentionally wrecked Logano because I believe Logano had wrecked Kenseth earlier, and Kenseth was holding a grudge against him. I really can't guess what they might have spoke about in that meeting. It probably has something to do with that. And if they're not wanting to give any details, I'm just going to go on a limb here and say it was not a good meeting.
That would be my guess.
It was not a good
also.
meeting for Kenseth.
That would also be my guess. And
yeah,
with that question, I have a follow-up question for you, which is,
yes.
This is Sam Blevins, my friend. He's a NASCAR fan who knows a lot about NASCAR, more than I do, certainly, and he's helping me out here by helping me explain what's going on, especially this Sunday at Homestead, which you can listen to here on AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. NASCAR is like baseball to me in that there are a lot of unwritten rules, and you can break these rules, and people come after you for breaking these rules.
And more than they would have 20 years ago, too, in a lot of cases.
Oh, for sure. Like, guys are way more petty now, I think, than they ever used to be. And I guess my question is the unwritten rules of this sport. Maybe should somebody write them down? Should somebody put them out there? Because, like, and we've seen Kyle Busch and to another extent his brother Kurt Busch kind of get caught up in these petty battles where, you know, they think somebody has wrecked them and now they're coming after you. Should somebody write these things down so that we know?
It would probably be a good thing. I'll just say it would probably be a good thing because, I mean, you got 43 race cars out there, 43 different drivers, 43 different teams, 43 different crew chiefs. So, I mean, it's a lot to keep track of. And with the unwritten rules, if you're trying to remember, okay, I can do this, I can't do this. I mean, it would help to write them down. I think it really would.
Because it's stuff that's outside of the actual sport. Like, it's not the rules of the race. This is just like other things that you just do out of courtesy on the track.
They're like personal rules, like personal rules for life or something that, we have in our own lives.
Right. And it's like baseball. Like, if you piss off a pitcher, you understand that he's going to hit you with the baseball like the next time you come up. Like, so it's stuff like that I'm just like, why does this actually happen at all?
It would be nice to write them down. By the way, I want to make a little note. Race MRN coverage of the race, I believe, begins at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from Homestead Miami Speedway. All right, and we'll have that, and coverage time starts at 2. You said 2 p.m. Yes,
2 p.m.
That's when it says radio will start. I'm not sure if that's when the green flag drops. It usually ends in the ninth race, so I'm assuming the green flag will drop probably around 4 if coverage starts at 2, maybe 3:30. But you can always tune in right here to Hot News Talk Radio AM 1240 at 2 p.m. to catch the beginning of MRN coverage, no doubt.
Well, thank you, Sam, for your time and explaining everything with me and just putting up with my questions as I ignorantly talk to you about NASCAR.
No problem. I enjoy it every week. It's fun. I love it.
All right. We'll have to get you back here soon. Thanks.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Thank you, Keon.
That was Sam Blevins. He's my friend. Also, huge NASCAR fan. And he knows way more than most people I know. I am a casual NASCAR fan, and I need him to come in here and help me explain what's going on in the world of that sport. And I do the heavy lifting, so you don't have to. You're welcome, Chattanooga. You're welcome. You're welcome. I have a couple more games to just kind of rush in here as we come up to the end that I think that you should be watching this weekend, because even though I understand, okay, this is SEC country, all of your teams decided not to play anybody this week. So we're gonna jump to the Big 12 where I'm from. We're gonna jump into the Big 12 where I'm from, but we're talking about Baylor and Oklahoma State. You need to be watching that game because the Big 12 could be locked out of the Final Four here for the playoff, the college football playoff. And this game is a huge one in deciding that. TCU plays Oklahoma, and that's huge. If TCU beats Oklahoma, Oklahoma's chances of breaking in are ruined. Baylor and Oklahoma State have an opportunity to ruin one another. Baylor is playing to save their season with a young Jarrett Stidham at quarterback. So those are the games you need to be watching this weekend. TCU Oklahoma, Baylor Oklahoma State, Tennessee Missouri, LSU Ole Miss. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. I'll see you on Monday.
Looking good out there through the afternoon. Lots of sunshine, a little breezy. Highs 58 to 60 tonight. Lows 38 to 40 for Saturday. Mostly sunny. Still looking pretty good.